Hi guys, Mrs. Day here, giving you the second part of our bar model lessons. This particular problem is what we call a two-step problem. Now sometimes the two-step problem will have literally two questions that you have to answer. Sometimes it's only going to have one question, but in order to get to the answer to the question you have to take two steps to get there. I'll show you how that works out at the end. Let's go ahead and take a look at our problem. Kim has 78 boxes of apples and 130 boxes of oranges. She sells some boxes of oranges. Now she has 159 boxes of apples and oranges left. A lot of information there, a little bit overwhelming. So we take it one step at a time. First, let's take a look at the first question that we need to answer. How many boxes did she have at first? Well, let's go back to the problem, see if we can create a bar model to show that. First off, Kim has 78 boxes of apples. That's our first piece of information. I'm going to use a bar model to show that. I'm going to say this shows the number of apples that she had. And we know from the problem that that number is 78. Let's look at the next piece of information. 130 boxes of oranges. Well, I'm going to use bar model to show that as well. That's going to show me the number of oranges. And we know from the problem that that number is 130. Now, at this point, we actually can answer this first question. The first question was, how many boxes did she have at first? If we remember our rules of addition, addition are, is part plus part is equal to whole. Well, if I want to know what the total is, in other words, if I were to take the blue and the yellow and mix them together to get my green, that's going to be an addition problem. Part plus part is going to be equal to the whole. So let's go ahead and solve that problem. 130 plus 78. 0 plus 8 is equal to 8. 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. Carry your 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That's how many she had at first. 208 boxes total. Now, let's go ahead and look at the second. Alright guys, for the next question. The next question is, how many boxes of oranges did she sell? First thing you gotta realize is she never sold any apples. According to our information on the problem, the number of apples never changed. So, if we look at the number of boxes that she started out with, and then look at the number of boxes that she wound up with, the only difference there is the number of oranges that she sold. So let's take a look at the bar model for that. I'm going to transfer this 208 boxes total over to here because this is how many she had to start with. This is the total to start. Now, and we know from answering our other question that that number is 208. From our problem, we know that she has 159 boxes of apples and oranges left over. That's going to be this part right here. That's how many she has left over, 159 left over. So, the part that we're missing, and remember, part plus part makes whole. The part that we're missing is the number of oranges that were sold out of this original stock. Well, if I have this as the whole, and if part plus part makes whole, well, we know in subtraction that if we have a whole and we take away a part, we're going to be left with that part. So if I take my whole here, and I take away the part I know about, the 159, I'm going to wind up with that part that's left over. So we can subtract this. 8 minus 9, can't do it. Got to borrow. Well, wait a second, I can't borrow from this column, so I'm going to go to the next column over. But that 10 doesn't do me any good over here. I'm going to use that to borrow, so I can put it into my last column, my ones column. 18 minus 9 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4, and then 1 minus 1 is 0. So 49 is the number of oranges that are sold. Now, just for clarification, I do want to show you something. If we take a look at our whole, remember our whole started out as apples and oranges. Part of our whole was apples, part of our whole was oranges. I'm going to put a line down the center to show you. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. And I'm going to say, well, this part of that whole was apples and this part of the whole was oranges. After she was done selling stuff, keep in mind she never sold any apples. So the number of apples stayed exactly the same. It's the number of oranges that changed. She had this many oranges to start out with, and then she had this many left over. This is how much was taken away out of here. We know from our first piece of information she had 130 boxes of oranges to start with. And we also know how many she sold. She sold 49 of them. Another question that could be is how many oranges does she have left over? And I'm only showing you this. This is a really complicated problem, or it's a little bit higher order thinking, but you can also, share this with your kids if they need a challenge or something. If we want to know how many oranges she had left over, I gotta go ahead and I gotta ignore the apples. The apples really have no meaning for me, so I'm just gonna cover them up. Okay, I'm just looking at the oranges. 130 boxes of oranges to begin with. We found out that she sold 49 boxes of oranges, so we want to see how many oranges she has left over. Well, again, whole minus part equals part. This is our new whole. This is the part that she sold, and then this is the part that we don't know about. That's the part that she left over. So in order to find that number, I'm going to do subtraction. Whole minus part is going to be equal to that last part. 130 minus 49. We're going to borrow from the 3. 10 minus 9 is 1. 2 minus 4 we can't do, so we borrow over here. 12 minus 4 we can do, that's 8. And this number is 81. Now, if you want to do one final check, if you were to add 81 and 49, part plus part should be equal to whole. I'll leave that up to you. Thanks very much for watching. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or contact me through the website. Thanks a lot.